So, good morning, everyone. And for those who are not familiar, as much as I love to talk about crypto and stablecoins, I have spent almost 30 years of my career as a criminal defense lawyer. I have defended criminal cases ranging from serious drug crimes to organized crime cases in federal court. And this apprehension of Maduro and his wife is an interesting issue. Obviously, this has many implications. Just to sort of set the context for what's about to happen here, as we know, Maduro is going to appear with his wife in federal court in Manhattan. He has been transported from a federal facility. If this is consistent with what my experience is, typically these high profile defendants are put in the SHU, Special Housing Unit of federal detention facilities. This is to isolate them. This is a tactic that is used to keep them apart from anybody but their lawyer until they make their appearance, and it's justified based upon the seriousness of the case and the high-profile nature of the defendant. I have been in these SHU environments, having interviewed alleged organized crime figures who have been housed in similar circumstances. So now Maduro's indictment has been unsealed. It carries significant penalties, both for the conspiracy to import cocaine into the United States, the narco-terrorism aspects of it. He's looking at a 20-year mandatory minimum with respect to the narcotics counts. And when you factor into that the quantities that are alleged of cocaine, which is in tons, under the federal sentencing guidelines, Maduro will be facing a sentence off the charts, which will probably be in the range of life. You stack on to that the fact that there are machine gun charges in here, which carry 30-year mandatory minimum sentences, which by law must run consecutive to the counts that are charged in the drug counts. This pretty much equates to a lifetime sentence for Maduro, unless he's able to cooperate and improve his situation. So now he's about to go to federal court and make his initial appearance. At the initial appearance, and I've probably done hundreds, if not thousands of these in my career, he's going to be advised of the charges against him. He's going to be advised of his right to remain silent. He's going to be afforded the opportunity for the appointment of a lawyer if he can't afford one. And that is funny to say out loud because obviously he's extracted allegedly a lot of value out of his time in office in Venezuela. But that money's probably been seized. He's probably got no access to that money at this time. And he may need a court-appointed lawyer. If he was smart, he probably would have hired a lawyer at the time that this indictment was announced back in 2020, just to have an insurance policy in place in the event of this occurrence happening. But let's assume he didn't do that. He'll be appointed a federal public defender or a court-appointed lawyer. And I've stepped into that role as well. Those are CJA lawyers. They work in private practice for the government to represent defendants in these situations. And the first question will be detention. Will he be entitled to pretrial release? Under the statutes that he's been indicted for, he is going to be held, in my opinion, pretrial detention, because under those statutes, there's a presumption of pretrial detention when you're talking about serious drug crimes like this. The fact that he's an imminent flight risk because of his overseas ties, and the fact he has access to rogue nations that have worked with him that could facilitate his escape, would make it a strong case that he should be detained. So based upon his risk of flight and the danger of the underlying offenses themselves, he will be sitting under pretrial detention for the duration of this case. And at the conclusion of this, the judge will get a plea of not guilty from him because he is in no position to plead any other way to these charges, because he's entitled, and this is something people need to understand, he's entitled to due process. So he is entitled to now have the full due process of the United States, which means he's going to get access to discovery. He's going to get to look at that discovery through his lawyer and come up with defenses. So at today's proceeding, he'll plead not guilty. The government will then be ordered to release all the discovery materials to his counsel. His counsel will review that, and his counsel will have to make some serious decisions with the cooperation of Mr. Maduro as to whether he's going to cooperate and try to do damage control here, both to save his own skin and his wife's skin, because it's rare, but it does happen, that the feds charge the spouse. Doesn't happen very often, but this is a big point of leverage now on Maduro, because he may have to fall on the sword to protect his wife. And if that's the case, he's going to have options and decisions. Does he plead guilty and cooperate? Does he dig in and argue that, similar to Noriega, this was an illegal extradition? He's a leader of a foreign nation. He should never have been prosecuted in the United States. Those arguments failed for Noriega, will probably fail for Maduro because of the illegitimacy of his presidency as recognized by the world. And then he's going to have to decide whether he wants to take this thing to trial, put the system on trial. I don't see a way out of this for him unless he cooperates and pleads guilty, where he can avoid a life sentence. But even if he cooperates, he's still going to be facing substantial time. And given his age, I see every conceivable outcome here, with the exception of a huge break for cooperation or an acquittal at trial, which is probably unlikely given my reading of the indictment. He's going to be looking at a long time in prison. So that's kind of the summary of what I'm seeing on the ground here with respect to what just happened in Venezuela and what's about to happen in a U.S. District Court in New York.